Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Golf Business Live, powered by Tag Marshall. I am your host, Michael Williams, bringing you all that is new, different, and special in the game of golf, and especially in the business of golf. We have a great show for you today. Our first segment is going to be our Inside Golf Business segment, where we really get into some nitty-gritty about how the game is progressing, what's going well. Seems like everything is going well. What could go wrong and what you can do to make yourself the most successful that you possibly can be. My next guest is someone who you probably all are getting regular emails and other interesting tidbits from. His organization is the National Golf Foundation. They are responsible for gathering all of the information about who's playing golf, where they're playing golf, how they're playing golf, and why they're playing golf. And he's been kind enough to carve out some time to share some of those insights with us today. Please welcome the CEO and president of the National Golf Foundation, Greg Nathan. Greg, how are you, my friend?
Fantastic, Michael. Great to hear your voice and see your face. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, it's our pleasure, and it's great to see you too. And I understand you're in sunny Florida right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, beautiful Jupiter.
Oh, beautiful. Well, we love doing that. We won't keep you from a minute of Jupiter that longer than we have to. But it's such a privilege to have you on and to get your insights into what's going on in the game right now, because so many of us are on a high because the game is doing so well. So many people are playing. So many people are experiencing the game in a new way, going places to see the game. So I wanted to get some thoughts from you because you're kind of the arbiter of the numbers in this game and in this business. So we've seen this recommendation or this record participation in recent years. And I just want to get your feeling on what's really driving this incredible level of participation that we're seeing in golf, and who are the newer golf segments? Are there anything new that we should be paying attention to?
Well, it's the game, Michael. This is the greatest game in the world that we are fortunate enough to play and be involved with as a business. What a time to have what I would call this analog experience of being with people, being out in nature, getting some exercise, competing, self-improvement, all the fantastic things about the game of golf. And luckily for us, 29 million people agree. 29.1 million. That is the 2025 number, which is up 1 million versus last year. We've been really on an amazing run that didn't actually start with COVID. Some people think that that's the case, but the trajectory of golf participation really started changing upward in 2017. And in terms of some of the other key measurements, often we could characterize the NGF, Michael, as sort of the general practitioner for golf, and we're always going to look at what are the patient's vital signs. And in this case, the patient, you and I are here on this show talking to the patient's family, the extended family of everybody who watches this, people who are involved in the business of golf. And the vital signs are really amazing. The 29.1 million green grass golfers is not the high water mark in history. That high water mark is 30.6 million in 2003, 2004. Mm-hmm. But a number of the other metrics are high water marks in history. So
such as
we are paced to have this is on pace this year to be the fourth out of the last 5 years for all-time record rounds in a year. We're at the all-time high water mark for people of color playing golf. We're at the all-time high water mark for women playing golf. I think it's 8.1 million out of the 29.1. The high water mark in history for the number of people playing combined between on and off, that's 48.1 million doing both. And if you take just the off-course number, that's also a high water mark right around 38 million. And when I say off course, I'm talking about Top Golf style golf entertainment, driving range, and screen golf. All places where people hit a real ball with a real club with a full swing.
Gotcha.
So think about, I want you to think about the fact that we're achieving all of these high watermarks versus, let's say, the last time golf grew at this level, which was the Tiger boom. So I already referenced like that 2003, 2004 period. Well, the numbers that I just rattled off that we're achieving today, we're doing so with 3,000 fewer courses and 2,000 fewer facilities than we had in 2003 and 2004.
Mm-hmm.
So from a concentration and a balance of supply and demand and equilibrium, if you will, golf is in unprecedented location, unprecedented times.
This is very interesting. You can always feel, well, for the last 2-3 years, we've been able to feel the success of it. But to put it in these sorts of terms is really mind-blowing stuff. And one of the things that you said that interested me is the fact that the boom or the pandemic was not really the kickoff of this growth in the game. It was starting earlier. And would you say that that was a gentle slope while we had sort of a rocket-like trajectory or during the pandemic, or was it a steady growth period through that whole period starting in 2017?
Michael, I'd say in 2017, what we saw was a trajectory change. You characterized it correctly. It was sort of the beginning of, we bottomed out and we just started moving up from there. And then when golf is deemed to be one of the only safe activities for a period of time, it reminded a lot of people who had played golf previously that, all right, maybe I should go and try that again. And I think if you think about the psychology that people had when they were going a little bit stir crazy inside their own homes, imagine how important golf's intrinsic qualities are at that time relative to a little bit of therapy, a little bit of social interaction at a time where that might not have been all that comfortable. So there's no question that the pandemic was a fantastic catalyst, but golf's key performance indicators have continued to move upward well past the pandemic.
So would you say, Greg, that the average golfer today, and I don't know who the average golfer is, maybe you can tell us a little bit about who the average golfer is. That may have changed as well. But is the average golfer playing more rounds? Are we seeing more players overall? Some combination of the two? What's your perspective on this?
I'd say golf's base is a little bit broader, especially considering the statistics I shared about golf becoming more diverse. Mm-hmm. And the off-course participation is far more diverse. The percentages, and I haven't committed every one of these stats to memory, but the percentages of off-course participants who are people of color, off-course participants who are women, is probably on average another 10% higher, even a little bit more. But if I told you, for example, that this is the 4th out of 5 years that we're going to have all-time record rounds, and we're not yet, we're close, but we're not yet at the high water mark in green grass players. Well, that in itself, that even someone who failed calculus at Lehigh, even I can figure out that means that the existing players are playing a little bit more. Mm-hmm. We even see some of the new players and the number of what we would call never evers, mm-hmm. beginners who played golf on a golf course in 2025, mm-hmm. who had never played before in their life. Mm-hmm. There's a percentage of them who actually went straight from not playing at all to being what's considered core, which is more than 8 rounds. So golf's magnetism right now, it really is at an all-time high. And I'll throw another interesting stat at you because that's my business, um, is to say that the total reach of golf, and I like to say that golf is more ubiquitous than ever because I like SAT words, 136 million Americans play, watch, follow, or read about golf. Play, watch, follow, or read. 136 million. That's 2 out of every 5 Americans. And that's extraordinary. It's not out of the question, Michael, that 5 years from now, it could be 50%. And since it's only 29 million play on course, if I include the off, it's 48 million. So 136 million means more people who don't play are included in that reach number.
Sure.
More people who don't play than do.
Yeah. I mean, these are fascinating numbers, which is precisely why we have you on. So
thank you.
So you raised so many questions, and I'm trying to parse out my list of questions between getting you to look backwards and give us some insight into what has happened and predictions about what will happen. So we'll try to stick with what has happened for the time being. In looking at the statistics that you gather with your organization, do you see that golfers are getting more price sensitive? What percentage of players are going to, let's say, lower price courses, municipal courses, that sort of thing, sort of the mid-price courses, if you will, and then sort of the higher price destination resort type courses? And I have no idea how you would categorize those things. I have an idea in mind, maybe others do too. But just for general purposes, can you pick out a place where more people are heading to right now?
That's an interesting question. I like to answer questions as directly as possible, but I may sort of massage around this one a little bit just to keep a coherent answer, which is, first of all, understanding that we're doing this piece right now for golf course owners and operators being a big audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first thing I would say is that when people call me and talk about the cost of golf, the last thing they're going to hear me say is that golf course owners and operators should take less. Okay, like one of the amazing things about this point in time is that this particular generational time in golf is benefiting golf course owners and operators, I'd say more than any other segment. And it's great to see. I want golf course owners to be as prosperous as possible because the NGF will break up the industry into 2 main hemispheres, Michael. So half of the industry are companies that sell to a golfer. Mm-hmm. Half of the industry, and I'm just talking about the businesses, not the courses. Mm-hmm. The other half of the industry, their customer is a golf course owner, an operator, a golf pro, a superintendent, and a GM.
Right.
And if golf courses are financially healthy, that means they can support that entire half of the business. Mm-hmm. And that's really important to the Toros and John Deeres and Easy Goes and Club Cars and Yamahas and Rainbirds and BASFs of the world. And that's huge. At the same time, it is our co-founder, Herb Graffis, is famous for saying, it is the recreational golfer from whom all blessings flow. and so the fact that 29.1 million people are raising their hand, signing up for a tee time and paying a greens fee, regardless of how much higher that greens fee might be today, that shows the strength of the golf economy. And going back to your original question, are greens fees up and where? Yes, they're up everywhere because we're in such a good place for supply and demand relationship that golf course operators have pricing power. And one of the places where that pricing power is really enhanced is in, I'd say, the top 50 or 75 golf resorts in America.
Yeah.
And we're in probably year 3, I'm going to say, where almost every tee time at Bandon, at Kiowa, at Cabot Links and Cabot Cliffs, at some of the Omni resorts, at Kohler, at Pebble Beach Resort, they're booked a year in advance.
Yeah, they are extraordinarily popular with experienced players and players who want the experience. I think this is the combination that we're seeing in the game that's driving all this positivity. I know we just have a few more minutes with you, but I wanted to get in some of the trends, some of the recommendations you might have for operators going forward. And you talked about essentially in round terms, you talked about dynamic pricing. And is that something that owners really need to get their head around right now? I know golfers may or may not be sensitive to it, but is that something that you advocate or even look at in your statistics?
I think that the fact that golf course owners and operators have come so far over the last 10 years relative to dynamic pricing, that when people ask me about, well, what if they're softening in the market? Well, today in 2025 or in 2026, golf course operators are in such a better place to adjust to any movement in or downward pressure on demand. Such a better place.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about that for a minute. I get tons of calls, Michael, from people saying, people who run golf businesses, is this sustainable? Is this high level of activity going to keep going? And we have so many signs, I'll just call them internal signs within the industry, the metrics of golf, that show that we're in an amazing place, far more likely to be able to be resilient in the case of downward movement in the economy. The 3 things that are the biggest threats to golf are external things. Okay. They are the availability and cost of water, geopolitical events, and economic crisis.
Yep.
Okay, whether that takes the form of Case-Shiller home values, whether it's the Dow or the NASDAQ. And what we did most recently, and we just released our new State of Industry at our symposium on October 24th. That's the first time I presented it. Presented it one other time at the IAGA conference on November 5th. So I've only presented it twice. What I shared with people is that we looked back at the last time we had a period of growth like we're in now. And that's the Tiger boom. Yeah. Now, we all know what happened in 2008, 2009 with the Great Recession. And so we look at that and how that damaged the recreational golf business. And we figure out what could we learn from that? And unfortunately, the reality is those are all external factors. Okay. All those things, we had stock market crash, we had geopolitical events, the fallout from 9/11. Luckily, we haven't had a situation with water to negatively affect the game. But today, I believe that the recreational golf industry is much more capable of being resilient to some of those external factors. We got 22 million people who do not play green grass golf who are very interested in playing. We got 37 million people playing golf away from the golf course. We didn't have that. We got 136 million people playing, watching, following, reading about golf.
Yeah.
So the on-deck circle, to use the baseball metaphor, Michael, it's full. And that was not the case. Golf's image was in a not very good place as the recreational golf industry declined from the Tiger boom. So I just, look, we're very critical. We don't like to say, oh, this is so great, 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 great. Okay. But the numbers don't lie. And our internal situation is quite terrific. And I think we're better equipped to be resilient based on the current dynamics of the recreational golf industry.
This is all fascinating stuff. I'm going to keep you just for a little bit extra time than we said. If you don't mind, there's a couple of questions I want to get in, which are forward looking out to the future, because you have such a good perspective because of the information at your disposal. We want to get a couple of thoughts on the future and what people should do and shouldn't do. If you could pick out one data-backed recommendation to give to every golf course owner tomorrow, what would it be?
Yeah. Just because we are in an amazing place with tee sheets and pricing, don't allow yourself to get complacent relative to golf being in the hospitality industry. And I would look, I'll simplify the process, Michael. Mm-hmm. There's two different groups that walk, two different types of people that walk through an owner and operator's door. Person A is you and me, who are in the franchise, who are comfortable in the golf course environment, who know how to drop their bag at a bag drop, who know how to pay a greens fee, who really don't need that much service. We appreciate it, but we don't need it. But then the person B who walks in, who's not in the franchise, who's intimidated by the golf course environment, who's very uncomfortable. If the operator doesn't have a system in place to find out whether that person in front of them is in group A or group B, how could they possibly provide the level of service to the person in group B that really needs it in order to think that golf is fun, to feel welcome? If you don't ask, how could you possibly serve them properly? Okay. And let's just say right now, when the getting's good and the business is booming, figure that out.
Yeah.
How are you going to get that? How are you going to ask it? Can you get it at check-in? You go to a restaurant and the server comes over and says, Michael, have you ever dined with us before? Well, that's a question that a golf course should ask. Have you ever played here before? No. Well, are you comfortable here? Like, do you know where to go and what to do? Figure out some questions that aren't condescending and aren't invasive, that can identify the individual who needs that higher level of service versus somebody who knows where to go and what to do. That's some of the keys to the promised land in the future.
I love that, because I've been an advocate for that for so long, for treating each individual like an individual, finding out what their needs are and meeting them. That's what every other business does. Golf should be no different. Just one last question for you is, you've seen a lot of assumptions out there in your business. You see a lot of that. What assumption about the golf industry do you believe will be proven wrong in the next decade? A popular opinion that people hold true, hold as gospel, that will be proven wrong, maybe over the next decade or so?
That's a pretty interesting question. I'll answer that by saying it's been the same three things that get trotted out consistently about why certain people say they don't play golf. Okay. Mm-hmm. It takes too long, it costs too much, and it's too hard. All right. I can't say that there's no truth in that. And for some people, those would be the legitimate deterrents. But what I can say with great confidence, Michael, is that those aren't the real reasons. Okay. The real reason is far more personal. It's that I don't feel comfortable in the golf course environment, and I don't feel comfortable around other golfers. But if somebody says to you, hey, Michael, do you play golf? No. Why don't you play? Well, most people are not immediately going to go into like something so personal to say, "Ooh, I'm not really comfortable in the golf course environment." You're going to say one of those other three things. So what the NGF does know is that your interest in staying, your interest in becoming a golfer is directly correlated with how much fun you think golf is for you. Well, guess what's not fun? Feeling uncomfortable, not being made to feel welcome, being taken for granted. Those things are not fun at all. And so hospitality, radical hospitality, make people feel welcome. Golf is not something for people to go like, here, you can't come in. Okay? It should be more like this. And how can I make golf a better experience for you? And that's, I think that this whole takes too long, costs too much, is too hard. That's the piece it's only this much real.
It's just fascinating to me. And I can sit here and talk to you for hours about this, about each one of the topics that you raised. Of course, I want to respect the time of you and of our viewers, but I just want to say this has been fascinating, absolutely fascinating for me. And if people want to get, can people who are interested get in information from you, or how do people start to get involved and attached to the National Golf Foundation?
Thanks for asking, Michael. I mean, we are at our core, we're a 501c6 trade association for every golf-related business. So we are able to have these stats and have this perspective because companies join as members of the National Golf Foundation. They become members of the association. Entry level for a small business or a golf course is $650. But we have 18 companies that are so aligned and so appreciative of what we do that they give us $45,000 a year and join our President's Council. And they have a voice in how we invest member funds to study the business of golf. So of course, there are levels in between those two.
Certainly.
But it means a lot to have that support, and it allows us to do what we do. A $7 million organization here in Jupiter with 25 employees supporting a $102 billion industry. Please call us, visit ngf.org. And if you like the kind of data and perspective that I shared, then we might be an organization that you want to be part of. We'd love to help contribute to your success.
Well, I want to say congratulations on all that you have done and all that you are planning to do and all that you will do. And we hope that you'll have some time to come back with us and share some of that information in the near future. It's been fascinating, truly fascinating to have you on, and we really look forward to having you back.
Thanks, Michael. It's great to see you. All the best to everyone at NGCOA, even Jay Karen. You can tell him I said hi.
Duly noted. Written down. We'll do it. Thank you so much, Greg.
See you, Michael. Great to be with you.
That's Greg Nathan of the National Golf Foundation. I was fascinated by everything that he said, but in particular, I was fascinated by the way he took hard statistics and then brought that down to how it affects people, how people affect people. It's all about who's playing the game and how they're treated, whether they go in the first place and whether they'll come back. That's what he's talking about, whether they go and whether they'll come back. He has such a unique and effective way of transmitting that message through numbers and how numbers should translate into actions. You can see why he's one of my favorite people to talk to in the industry. And if you're not a member, perhaps you'll consider doing that. National Golf Foundation. Greg Nathan, thank you very much. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with more Golf Business Live powered by Tag Marshall. We'll have our house chat, which will be fascinating. I know you'll love it. So I'm Michael Williams. Stick there, get yourself a beverage, cold beverage, and a crunchy snack, and we'll be right back. See you soon. Welcome back to Golf Business Live. Michael Williams, your host. And this is the holiday season, so I have a big gift for everyone. Our next guest is somebody who is really setting the trend for all of us. in not only the game of golf, but the business of golf, I'd say especially. He is an acknowledged leader of the game, so thoughtful and so knowledgeable about the game, not only about where it is now, but where it's going. So it's really fitting for him to be here at the end of 2025 to talk about what we've experienced in this past year and where we're going in 2026. And I'm happy to say, unless he says otherwise, he's a really, really good friend. Please welcome Steve Skinner, the CEO of KemperSports. Steve, how are you, my friend?
Good, Michael. How you doing? Wow, that's a great introduction.
Well, we could spend the whole show doing an introduction of you and the things that you've accomplished there at Kemper Sports, but for the sake of time, we'll just go ahead and get some of your thoughts on the game. So, without further ado, we all know that we've seen just record-setting numbers in golf. The ascendancy since the pandemic has been upwards and upwards. I would just ask of you, from your perspective, are you seeing the same thing that we're seeing? Because what we all get in terms of the numbers is golf is just doing as well, if not better, than it ever has been.
Yeah, no, I like to knock on wood when we say that, but it's been a good run really for the last 5 years in terms of growth in the game. We see it really at all levels. We see it in the destination resorts, the private clubs, and at the daily fee golf courses. We have a broad spectrum of courses, about 200 courses around the country. And we see that demand and interest in the game continuing, coming right out of the pandemic, and it's continued to grow year after year. So it's exciting time to be in the business.
It really is. And what do you say? I mean, obviously the pandemic had something to do with people rediscovering the game and discovering the game for the first time, getting outdoors and the health benefits and all of those good things. What are some of the things that are keeping the game in its high place in the mind of people who want to get out and just do something that's fun? Because I personally have been around the game a long time, not as long as some others, but I've never seen the game be as popular for people who just want to have fun. What are some of the characteristics or some of the things that you see that are happening that are sending people to golf?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, I think this is different, and I know you had Greg on earlier for the NGF, and they've done a lot of study and data on this. And it really is. I think the exciting thing is we've got a broader base of players this time. So it's a more diverse base of more young people playing the game, more women playing the game. It's not just the core avid golfer playing more. It's this broader base of new people. And I think the social connection is right. What we see in the research we do among our players, it's that social connection that people are looking for. And maybe it has a little bit to do with more remote work and the like, and people are searching out different ways where they can connect with other people. And I think the industry also deserves a lot of credit. I think this new interest in the game came at just the right time. I will say 15 years ago, we might not have been ready as an industry, but I think we learned over that time when we would fight for players and fight for people to come to the game that we had to be more open, more welcoming, more flexible on what people do and how they enjoy the game, whether that's short courses, whether that's 9-hole, 6-hole loops, whether that's just going out to have fun and playing music and wearing whatever you want to wear. So I think we were very welcoming to many generations of golfers to come to the game. So it's exciting.
It is exciting. And you mentioned something that really just sort of boils down to the people, both the people who are playing the game and the people who are taking care of them. And we've had many conversations, including with Greg, about the role of hospitality and how golf's ability to get better at hospitality is fundamentally tied to its growth in the game. That's my opinion. Would you concur with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about service. It's all about the experience. I mean, I think what we're really delivering, whether it's the game of golf, whether it's a drink or dinner afterwards or lunch before or a clinic, whatever it might be, is an experience. And I think we're lined up perfectly with what people want. And that's great experiences, especially the younger generations. And, we at KemperSports, we've really started that. Our very first golf course almost 50 years ago was the first kind of high-end daily fee country club for a day in the Chicago market. And the whole premise was, let's take the daily fee golfer, but give them a great experience as if they were a member at a private club. And we've carried that through. And I think that's really what we're seeing at the destination resorts. People want that great bucket list experience, and they're willing to travel a far way. They're willing to pay a lot of money and take the time to do it. And that's the same thing at the local level. It's all about service and experience. I always say when I go to a property, I can see it in our teammates when they're having fun with each other and having fun with the guests. That makes for a great environment. And golf courses are very important. Condition of the golf course is important. But really what people remember is, did I have fun? Did I have a great day?
Yes, because they will come back. And not only will they come back, they'll bring somebody else with them or tell somebody else the experience that they had. And that's what helps growth. That's the very definition of growth, isn't it? People coming back and people bringing other people. I know that with Kemper, you have such a broad organization with hundreds of different golf courses and properties. Some of them are public, some of them are private, some of them are upscale daily fee. Are there differences in the challenges that you might face on a day-to-day basis in one type of course over the other? What kind of things are the same across all those types of properties, and what types of things are different between them?
Yeah, I would say for the most part, the core of it's the same. I mean, you mentioned service. It's all about people. It's all about hiring the right people at the properties, giving them the right training and support so they can have that great experience. So we like to say that, the experience you may have, and it's custom built, if you will, for each market and each type of property for what people want. So, I think there's more similarities than there are differences. I mean, at the higher end properties, we're charging more so you can spend more on agronomy and the conditions, maybe, more of the details maybe focus on. But at all our properties, we start by focusing on great greens, great tees and great conditions, but really about service. So I would say the common denominator is finding great, passionate people. Because I will say, regardless of whether people are paying $35 a round or $350 a round, they're passionate about golf. That's what makes the game and this business so fun. And they want to have a great time. They're passionate about their game, and they're equally passionate no matter what they're paying for their round of golf.
I think you really hit on something key to remember here for all of us in the game, that no matter whether they're paying a relatively small amount or a relatively large amount, everybody wants to have the same level of experience for their dollar. And as long as you can recognize that and provide that consistently, you're going to have success in your business. And clearly Kemper has managed to do that. You've been around a game a while and managing clubs. You started in the 90s. And when you look from then until the modern day, other than this incredible period that we've had of growth now, spurred by the pandemic, has the business changed fundamentally for you? Is it different running golf courses now than it was then?
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole world's changed. I used to think the 90s weren't that long ago, but I know to a lot people listening, they were a long time ago. So
some people weren't even born there.
Yeah, I realize that you're dating me, but I think fundamentally the game is the same, right? It's the same game that's been around for 500 years or more. I would say, as golf course and golf course developer, what I've seen over the last 30 years, and this really gets credit to the architects, the game has become more fun. We went through a period in the late 90s where the goal was to build the longest course possible, the hardest course possible, and let's see how hard we can make it. And I think it really turned over late 90s, early 2000s. Like, no, this game has to be fun. It can be a challenging golf course, but it has to be fun and playable for everyone. There's such a small segment that's a single-digit handicapper who wants to be really beat up on the golf course. Everyone else wants to have fun. So, I think that's been a change to the good, of more fun, more welcoming to different types of customers, different types of golfers. And obviously technology has changed in how we market and programs we're able to do and how we reach people. And I think a big part of the popularity of the game recently is the social media influence, if you will, on the game. We've gone at a time where it used to be we waited for the big celebrity endorsements of a Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus or Arnold Palmer, and that's what people followed. Now people are following just everyday men and women, young men and women who love the game of golf, love to have fun, and it's how everyone's consuming that. So it's changed how we market our golf courses, how we position ourselves, and we're just, the golf courses really have become an asset that everyone owns it. So you've got to be on your toes because you have people with cameras in their hand everywhere they go. So you've got to be really dialed in on the service. But I think overall, the game, if you look back over 30 years, has become more fun, and we've embraced that fun.
Well, I mean, amen to all of that. You've made some very good points there, but with every story, there's another side of the story. So golf clearly has some things to watch out for and to be careful of, because we've seen other periods of growth that have been followed by periods of relative struggle for the game. Let's be honest. What are some of the things that you feel that the game has to watch out for to avoid some of these pitfalls that may be out there?
Yeah, I think from a business standpoint, I'll take it from the golf course owner's standpoint, we've really got to be careful. I think the story, while demand in the Tiger Woods boom did peak and slipped off from there, but the real story of that was, as an industry, we built 400 golf courses a year for a decade plus, and we had so many markets that were oversupplied in golf. So that then led to golf courses struggling, not being able to reinvest. I think we're in a much better spot now, having closed a lot of golf courses that were underperforming as an industry over the last, decade plus. So I think we're in a much better position. So I think we've got to watch for overbuilding. We got to make sure that there's demand there I think we were at a really good equilibrium now of kind of supply and demand in most every market. So I think with the lesson from before is, let's not get crazy and overbuild. If we're building new golf courses, let's make sure there's demand for it. And also, I think we've got to be careful in continuing to deliver value, because while we compete with each other in the golf business, we also compete with other uses for discretionary recreational dollars. So are they going to the movies? Are they going to amusement park? Are they going to the ball game? And so we've got to make sure we're providing good value, that if someone's going to come spend 4 or 5 hours of their day, they're having a great experience, and it's good value compared to what else they can do with their money.
That's a really good point. And I remember we went on the first conferences that I first went to at the beginning of the 2000s. People were talking about the 2 to 5 hours that you could spend doing anything. And that could be going to the movies, could be going to the mall, could be going shopping, could be playing a video game. And you have to place golf someplace in there so that it can get a foothold and get a grip on people's desires, but what they want to do with their time and with their money. As you see the game growing, there's this whole thing with alternative golf, let's call it. And there's simulators, there's outdoor options. Where do you see that going, and how is Kemper getting involved in that whole movement towards alternative golf?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. First of all, I think it's good for the industry. Anything that gets a golf club in people's hands, that exposes them to a fun environment and an entry ramp to the game of golf. Maybe a long way from Top Golf to actually the first tee, but it gets them started down that path. I think same with the indoor simulator golf. I think that's good. We're embracing technology. We're adding technology on the range, the gamification of driving range at a lot of our properties, and we see that as a real growth area. We've stayed out of getting involved in the standalone Top Golf type businesses or indoor simulators, although we work with a lot of those companies and have over the past. But we really think there's an opportunity to bring that technology, bring that fun that we're seeing off course onto the golf course itself at our driving ranges and other elements.
So when people would see to your courses, will they see things like Top Tracer, which I know is kind of a hybrid between Top Golf and actual golf? Is that the type of thing we expect?
Yeah, we're putting that in a lot of places, and we're adding, big, large putting courses at a lot of our courses, both resorts and both community golf courses as well. Again, gets people of all ages exposed to the game of golf, somewhere where they can understand what it's all about and get them in the game. And again, it all boils down to letting them have more fun and giving them a great experience.
So we've taken a good look past at what's going on in 2025 and before. Let's switch and take a look at the future, because I think one of the main things that needs to happen is more people like you who are good at golf and good at business get involved with the business, because we've had people who are okay at business be involved in the game. And now we have some real visionaries involved in the game like yourself. So when you take a look at what's going to happen and sort of put on your hat to see what you're predicting and where you're leading your business for 2026, what are some of the themes that you're thinking about?
Well, I think it's focusing, it's doubling down on service, it's reinvesting in golf courses now that they're performing well, and I think the other thing is, again, it all boils down to being more welcome, keeping these young, new entrants in the game over the last 5 years engaged in the game. What we see that comes from two places in the research we've done is, one, instruction. It's a hard game to learn, a hard game to get good at. And so really focusing on player development and instruction and allowing people to get better, because you enjoy it more when you play better. And so we don't want to lose all these new players that have come to the game over the last 5 years. We want to keep them engaged. And the second piece is the social aspect of it. Make sure we're building social programs around golf and making it, again, a fun environment. I think that thing, it goes back to your earlier question, what are we worried about? What could we learn from the past? I mean, I think the one thing that we view, managing all these golf courses, we really represent the retail golfer, the recreational golfer, and, all this talk of rolling back the golf ball and the like. And, to me, for the recreational golfer, for the 25 million people playing the game, it's the worst thing we could do as an industry. And hopefully the powers that be will come around to see it, because no one needs to hit the ball short, or no one needs to make this golf course. If they're the 25 million people, you could, it's probably less than 1,000. You could say hit it too far, play too well. The rest of the, 24,999,000 like it the way it is, need to make the game more playable, more fun, not harder.
It sounds like you were talking about me when you mentioned that.
1,000?
Yeah, I'm in the other group. Okay, I'm the other guy. No, I totally get you, and you kind of took my last question away from me. I was going to ask you where you saw that particular issue, whether it's the regulation of the ball or regulation of the club, and how that's going to affect both the game and the business, and even the perception of golf. But I think you've already answered it. We shouldn't really touch the players who are enjoying the game. We want them to enjoy it more, not enjoy it less, right?
Yeah, and I'm hoping with the leadership turnover that has occurred at some of the governing bodies and will occur, I hope they're I've encouraged any of them that will listen to me, I've encouraged them to take a fresh look at that and what problem are they trying to solve. It feels like it's a solution, in search of a problem instead of the other way around. So, yeah, I mean, I think we should all be about, we want to protect the competitive nature in the game, and we love watching great players on TV. That drives a lot of it. But what we've seen is what really drives it is the masses getting involved in the game. I mean, we've talked about the social influences. They may be 10 handicaps, but they're having fun at the game, and they're posting on social media. That's what's bringing people to the game as much as anything.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there on all of those points. Just as we close, I want to give you a couple minutes to brag about Kemper and what you've done and what you may have coming up in 2026. You're a big company. Tell us how big and what you plan on doing next.
Yeah, so we like to keep doing what we're doing. As I say, we've been in business 47 years. We have about 200 some properties in 40 different states. Again, I mentioned kind of the full gamut of supporting destination resorts, private clubs, daily fee golf courses. And we're excited. I mean, we are helping our clients and helping our partners. I think we have 6 golf courses now under construction in various stages of planning. Most of those at destination resorts or high-end private clubs. That's where we're seeing most of the building. And we continue to grow our portfolio. Our goal has always been to, never be the biggest. We don't really like to even count how many. We built the company one relationship at a time, one property at a time, and really one golfer at a time. And that's what we're going to continue to do. We try to be hyper focused at the local level. What's going to make, Michael Williams have a great time when he's out at Blue Mash and, Howard County, Maryland, or Whiskey Creek, or wherever you're playing, and what's going to make you want to come back again and again to play the game of golf, and hopefully at one of our properties.
You see, it's that type of attention to detail. I want to mention everybody. He just mentioned 2 courses that I have played at that are close to my home. He knows every single one of you. Okay, so be good for goodness sake. This guy, he knows a little bit about the game. Steve, golf business. You're going to be in Florida. Any special plans for Florida?
Yeah, no, everyone's got to go to Florida in January, especially if you live in Chicago. You got to visit as much as possible. So we are building a 5th course. David McClay Kidd is building a 5th course at Stream Song. So we'll be down there for that. It'll open for preview play next October, November timeframe. So it's at the growing phase, and I'll be in and around the show. It's a great time to kind of recharge, and it's so exciting for the industry to talk about the growth in the industry. We all went there in days when the PGA show and the golf business show were lightly attended, and now to see it back in full force and so much interest in the game, it's really fun to see.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, and it wouldn't be a show without you. You've done such amazing work with the company, with the industry, and we look forward to seeing in 2026 all that you and Kemper are going to provide to the game and the sport and the lifestyle that is golf. Thank you so much for the time today, and we look forward to seeing you in Orlando.
Great. Well, thank you, Michael. I'm very lucky. We feel very lucky. I'm very lucky to be with a great group of people. We've got a great team, and to be in a great business that's so much fun.
Amen to that, sir. Thanks so much, Steve. We'll see you soon.
Take care. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. That's Steve Skinner, CEO of KemperSports. Those guys have done so much for the growth of the game at the highest levels of the game with wonderful courses like Stream Song to the daily feeds that we all know. And what we're learning from guys like Steve is that all those things are connected together. They may seem like they're on different paths, but they're all tied together. And the thing that really is the thread, the tie that binds, is the people. It's you, it's me, and making sure that we're taking care of our needs are met so that we tell somebody and the game keeps growing one person at a time. That's all it is, just the game growing one person at a time. Thank you, Steve, for doing that. And thank you for watching this edition of Golf Business Live. We do it all for you. So on behalf of everybody at the NGCOA, especially Taylor Wall, Harry Merle, myself, everybody at the organization, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with another episode real soon. In the meantime, go hit some golf balls and hit them straight. For Golf Business Live and for NGCOA, I'm Michael Williams. See you soon.